Hello, welcome to today's edition of Pegasus Test. On today's edition, we're going to review the Civilian Marksmanship Program. What we now know today is the Civilian Marksmanship Program started out as the Director of Civilian Marksmanship, or the DCM, way back over a century ago at the behest of President Theodore Roosevelt. And he wanted more Americans to be proficient with their firearms and rifles, so when the nation was in a time of need for war or crisis, the people that were called up were already trained and therefore could be trained as soldiers that much easier because they already knew how to shoot. The CMP provides rifles so Americans can practice their marksmanship skills. How do you get one of these rifles? Simply, if you're active duty, you get your commanding officer to sign off. That includes being a reservist. If you're a veteran, your DD-214 is your key. If you're a regular civilian, you go to one of the CMP clinics, you learn about the rifle, and then you learn about marksmanship, and then you shoot a match. It's that simple and yet that hard. It's simple in the fact that you can do this in a day. It's hard in the fact that it's a lot of information. You are truly feeding from the fire hose. A CMP match consists of 3 phases. The first phase is prone slow fire. It's 10 shots. Now before you fire those 10 shots, you get 5 sighters. The purpose of the sighters is so you can check your zero. Your zero should be set when you go to the match anyways. However, things happen. It gives you 5 shots to go ahead and check your zero. And you don't have to use all 5 shots. You launch 2 or 3 and you're getting 10 rings. You know you're good. You can immediately move to score and dispense with the remaining remainder of those 5 rounds, however many you fired off. Once you fired the 5 sighters, then the first stage begins. And that first stage is prone slow fire at 200 yards. That means you single load the rifle. In my case, I was using an M1 Garand, which was what the match was originally designed around. Now they've expanded it. You can use 03 Springfields, the vintage class, which allows pretty much anything like a Lee Enfield or a Swiss K31, for example. They have modern military, which is your AR-15 style rifles, and modern military unlimited, which is your scoped out, tricked out AR-15s. Everyone fires the same course of fire regardless of the rifle that they're using. It's 10 shots, slow fire from the prone, 1 round at a time. Every time you fire, they'll pull your target, mark where your hit was, and put up a scoring disc on it so you know where you hit. Because at 200 yards, where you think you're on the target and where you actually are, can be a little bit of difference. So you can look at it and go, wow, I tagged it in the 9 ring, and find out, no, actually you did a little better, you got it in the 10 ring. Now after you've done the 10 rounds of slow fire along with the 5 sighters that you had 18 minutes to do, I mean, they're emphasizing the slow part here, you then switch over to the rapid fire, which is 10 rounds from standing to prone in 80 seconds. Now, if you're shooting an M1 Garand like I did, you start out with 2 rounds in the magazine, bolt closed, from the standing. When your target appears, you go down to the prone, rack your bolt, fire off your 2 shots. At that point, the clip will eject. You grab your clip of 8 rounds, shove it into the rifle, and then proceed to fire your remaining 8 rounds within the allotted time left. The third stage is generally regarded as the hardest stage, and rightfully so. It's the offhand. You're not using your sling for support, you're not prone, you're just standing holding a heavy M1 Garand rifle or whatever rifle you're choosing to shoot. It's 10 rounds, slow fire. That means you load 1 round at a time, you fire it, they score it, load the next round, and fire. Out of the match, you have a possibility for 300 points. In this match, I did okay. I've done better, I've done worse. I ended up getting a 257. That placed me 3rd in the Garand class and 7th overall, which was, you know, not a bad showing and stuff, but I could have done better. A lot of other guys did do better. The top shooter that day, I forget what type of rifle he's shooting, but he brought in a 294. Nothing to sneeze at by any stretch of the imagination. In conclusion, the Civilian Marksmanship Program is a great program. I believe if you have an interest in shooting, you should be involved. One of the reasons for this is For a few $100s, somewhere between 500 and 1,000, depending on the grade of rifle, you can get an M1 Garand. It's hard to argue with right there. I got mine back in the 90s, and it was Arsenal refinished in awesome condition. The ones that we have now are imports from the Philippines and I believe Turkey, and they got some use on them, I'm not going to lie. They're pretty rough looking. But still, the M1 Garand's a great rifle. Also, if you pay attention, M1 Garand sights and AR sights are exactly the same layout. It's a peep aperture with a protected front sight post with ears that bend outwards. It's the same sight picture. So using an M1 Garand to prepare your marksmanship skills, even though an AR might be your primary weapon, is not a waste of time. Also, the Civilian Marksmanship Plan clinics are excellent. They are great for teaching the basics and fundamentals of shooting. And if you already have these, you need the review. So time at the clinic is not wasted time. The matches themselves are fun. You get to, they're true tests of marksmanship skills. That's what they are. They're not testing anything else. These are not run and gun events. These are not 3-gun events. These are not IPSC events. These are strictly marksmanship events. How well you know your rifle and can put the same bullet into the same hole. They're very fun. They're also a chance to learn. A lot of the people are shooting these events have been shooting them for a long time. They have a lot of skill and they have a lot of knowledge that they are more than happy to pass on. If you go to a match and don't learn something, that's your own fault. Thank you for tuning in to today's edition of Pegasus Test. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and tune in for future competition shooting videos.